welcome back. We are here. We are live right here. The Check Swing Podcast with myself, you know who I am, and the star of the show, Coach Santa. He is the star. He is the engine that keeps it going. He got the guns. He got the Check Swing jersey on. Y'all check him out right there. He's representing. He's got the Eagles hat on. That is Coach Santa in the building. And as we're getting started, of course, we want to remind you to go ahead and share us with your friends, your family, your enemies, and all that good stuff. And let them know that the Check Swing Podcast is on the air right now. And we're about to get into the preview of the Super Bowl, Check Swing style. But before we get into all that, of course, y'all know how I like to start my shows, and I like to say, ask my people how they've been. So, Miguel,
Sir,
how you been?
been well, sir. Getting used to working every single day in the physical office because COVID is over, based on what the man says. So getting used to my 1 mile walk to from the light rail to my office. But the office is brand new, so new carpet, new furniture, new ergonomic chair. So it's very refreshing.
And it sounds like you get 2 miles of walking in a day.
Yes, I do. Some of it is strategic because I have to walk through the fresh feces in the morning.
Well, sorry to hear that part of it. I guess it adds to the workout. But of course, we are here. We are live. We are getting into the show. It is the Check Swing Super Bowl preview show. Of course, we have the Eagles and the Chiefs, and we are going to, it's going to be we're anticipating a great game, right? We're anticipating a lot of action, and a lot of people at times they do stuff like bet on certain things in the game. So there's going to be some wagering going on in this game because it's just the biggest game of the year of all the sports. And of course, we have our handicapper, Mike Knox, is back in the building with us, and he will be. He's actually backstage waiting for us right now, so we're going to get to him in just a minute. He's going to be handicapping some. He's going to be giving us some information in which maybe we should go, and maybe you can make some money and really just make a come up on this big game. So I guess it's kind of I'm sitting here reading something. I guess it's kind of time for us to get into it. So let's do this. Let's start off the game. I'm going to bring Mike Knox in because we're going to talk about the game a little bit. There's some storylines to talk about. You got the first time two brothers are going to face each other in the Super Bowl. No, I'm not talking about Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. I'm talking about the Kelsey brothers. First time that they're going to be facing each other in the Super Bowl. First time brothers in the history of the NFL faced each other in the Super Bowl. We also got the other brothers, Mahomes and Hurts. First time two African-American quarterbacks will be facing each other in the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the significance of that. It's going to be, I just read a post about somebody, the significance of two black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Of course, there are more storylines, Sirianni versus Reed, and that whole thing. We got so many avenues to go down with that situation. Of course, there is a new segment that we've added to the show as of today. Today's the first day we're going to have the segment. The segment is titled Is You Ain't. Yes, is you is or is you ain't. If you agree with the statement, you're that. And if you don't agree with the statement, you're that. And we got one question about that, and I'm going to put the question out there now, so you can call in and you can give us your opinions. If you want to call in 669-275-0323, that's 669-275-0323. The question is, there's only one question today, and there's a little bias to it. If the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl on Sunday, does Jalen Hurts become the new face of the NFL? Don't answer it right now. Take some time to think about it. and we'll allow you to join us on the Is You Is or Is You Ain't segment. All right. So without further ado, let me bring in my man Mike Knox. I can't really give him the introduction that he would give me because I don't have the pipes for it. The family is going to sleep. I don't have the right now. Like Miguel, you have to know that this man right here will give you the introduction that you never knew you deserved. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that right now. My man Mike Knox is in the building. What up, Mike? Man, how you been, brother?
What's going on, fellas? Thanks for having me. Thanks
Yes,
for having
sir.
me. Go Birds.
Thanks for joining us. Go Birds, indeed. So, Mike, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna have to pull up the text message because I had to restart my computer and I lost all the information from earlier.
Oh,
Mike
that's
is gonna
fine.
talk to
I
us.
downloaded Undisputed, the boxing game on PC, and my computer broke. So, like,
Goodness.
my screen 1 second is bright as I don't know what. Next thing I know, like right now, you're like as dim as they can be. So,
All right.
yeah, it broke my screen. I didn't think that was possible.
Now, you didn't punch it, did you?
No, I ain't that stupid. I'm not one of the people who whatever. This stuff costs
It's a,
money.
it's a side effect from the China balloon blowing up.
That's so we found. I saw we finally, let that thing out the sky. It took them long enough. They got enough
Mhm.
information.
A couple other countries too. But so Mike, you're here. You're a handicapper. You tell people where you give some people some insight on where maybe they might want to go with their money when it comes to wagering. And we just have a few things that I want to go over with you because I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're a busy man. We have first of all, I'm gonna ask you about where to put your money on the game in itself. That's gonna be your final question. You already know how that works. You already know
Right.
how that works. Here's one that's interesting to me. Um, any player to have a pass completion and a reception and a rush attempt, and the odds on that are plus 900. Would you even mess with that?
Yeah, actually, I would.
Mhm.
Right, and I say because of Jalen Hurts. And you got to think this is the Super Bowl. Well, I'm sorry, we're not even supposed to say that word. This is the big game, right? So this is where people are going to spend all their money where they waited all their year to get their money and how they're going to try to make as much money as they can make it from wherever they can make it from, no matter how dumb the bet is. They literally bet on is it going to be heads or tails, okay, in this game. So why not bet something that could possibly happen? Just think about the Philly special from 5 years ago, right? That's a reception,
Yep.
right? He's the quarterback. And you think Jalen's not gonna rush the ball? Yes. You think Jalen's not gonna pass the ball? Yes. I don't think it's too far fetched to bet well he make a pick. He hasn't caught one all year. I don't see it coming, but this is the time of the year during this game. The unthinkable is there. And with Sirianni playing Andy Reid in this game, why not?
Yeah, I kind of agree, especially with that last thing you said was Andy Reid and Sirianni. They both get pretty creative with the offenses. We've seen how creative Andy can be. You saw the ring around the rosy offense that they ran in
Oh
the
man, that was insane. Yeah.
they'll do different things. Like they both can get very creative. We saw Britton Covey in the playoffs line up under center for what was going to be a 2 point conversion attempt, but they never ran it. And so that could be some insight on that there. But we'll have to see. So you're saying that
They
might be
better
a
be careful with that. We saw what happened to old Zeke back there running at center. So I'm gonna be careful putting somebody like. And why is Covey still on the team in the first place when Darren Sproles openly put out to social media, bring me back. I got a couple more kickoff and punt returns left in me. I'm just saying this guy ain't done nothing all year, and he's still back there picking up
It
kicks. I don't
cost too much
understand it.
for a couple of punt returns. It'll cost too much because
Yeah.
it's probably all he got is a couple of punt returns. Um, All right, so one of the ones I was going to ask you about is the quarterback that had a reception, but we kind of already went over that because with Jalen Hurts,
Mhm.
Pat
So
Mahomes.
I'm definitely taking that one too. What's that? Plus 1,200. I
That
believe.
one is plus 1,200.
Okay.
Absolutely, sure is. All right, so here's one, and I don't know when the last time we saw this in the Super Bowl, but any player to return a punt or kickoff for a TD. Did that happen last year? I don't remember if that
I
happened
don't
last
think
year.
we've gotten that since Devin Hester and the Bears versus the opening kickoff
That's
against
cool.
Indianapolis. when my mom, rest in peace, they actually thought Rex Grossman was going to beat Peyton Manning. That's the last time I can remember a kickoff or a punt return being run back for a touchdown. If I'm mistaken here, I'm not a historian buff. My memory is not, I'm getting old. Y'all the ones got all the gray though. I'm just hiding mine better. You guys got more fuller beards than me, so you're a show more. But in my patchy of gray here, I don't think that's happened in a while. So that's one I wouldn't. You know what? This is the big game. I'm probably touching anything if I'm a gambling person. Bet that. Why not? Because if anybody could do it and would do it, honestly, as an Eagle fan, Kansas City could do that. Okay, so I would look out for that. And because you got to think, these are two high-powered offenses. Okay, might be a lot of kicks. You know what I mean? And anything is possible, as Kevin Garnett taught us. So.
And so Percy Harvin was the last one to return a kickoff.
Percy Harvin, Seattle.
Who was he playing? Oh, Seattle. Okay,
against the Broncos
and Bronco. Okay, yep.
That was the one in New York. That never should have happened.
Percy Harvin.
That is not a name that I've heard late. Like it's been a while since I heard that name.
Man, Jesus,
Aaron,
I heard that in a minute, right?
Grossman. Wow, you probably ain't heard that name in a while either. When you brought up Rex Grossman.
It was just odd. That came in my timeline for some reason because I remember my family was in town at that point, and we watched the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I'm just like, and they're all I'm for those who don't know, Coach Santa. I'm born in Chicago but raised in Darby, PA. You know what I mean? So I have my ties to two different cities. People get mad at me. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm from two great cities. You know what I mean? But I remember telling my family, like, they're not gonna win the Super Bowl. Like, I hope you do. But you're not going to beat Peyton Manning. It just ain't going to happen. It's just not that time. So
here's one that's interesting because this can very well happen, but you don't see it happen much in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Any player to have 150 rushing yards or receiving yards.
Okay, I'm glad you went to that one. And I want to double that. I would double down on that one with anybody with 3 rushing touchdowns. Right? I'm going to tell you why.
Would you parlay that?
I would parlay the HE double hockey stick out of that thing. Why not? Have you not watched the Philadelphia Eagles play? Right? And this is something, again, I know I might be coming off like a homer here, but I'm putting my money where I would put my money. Right? Because to hell, that was Jackson to come on here for, like, what you would not bet, right? Oh, you got a segment called that, right? Would you or would you know, or is you or is you ain't, right? So,
exactly.
So hashtag I like to say bet that. It's very probable, or whatever the word is. Excuse me, Mom, I just made it up. Jalen Hurts can get 3 rushing touchdowns before probably him throwing 3 passing touchdowns. Can we not see Sanders get 3 rushing touchdowns? And because this is what this team does. And the biggest weakness of Kansas City is their rush defense. So why not? You know what I mean? That these are offensive things that I think can happen. I think it's less likely of the 150 passing receiving yards rather, but 150 rushing yards, I think it could happen very easily. And honestly, on both sides, from Pacheco on one side and from us, because as much as I hate to say this about my Philadelphia Eagles, to have all that stuff up front, I think we get gashed a lot up the middle. And that bothers me to have let them drop back and pass. We got them. But if they're rushing the balls, like, what your big suckers doing there if you ain't all this damn weight? Joseph and Ndamukong and what I'm sorry, Cox, are you old now? I get it. But I need you to stop this run. And this could be it for a lot of these guys. This could be Sue's last season. This could be Cox's last season for what it's worth. You know what I mean? Joseph he was released from the Chargers, for heaven's sakes. You know what I mean? Like, some of these guys, this is it for them. Stop the run. But what we've seen all year, anyone he seems can get rushed on. So I would take that bet in a heartbeat.
Taking it in a heartbeat. So you go put some money on 150 rushing. Now this is all one.
I'm more the 3 touchdown ones, rushing touchdowns, than I am the one, because that's where that bet makes me say, what you call it? Did you not touch the 150 receiving and 150 rushing on the same betting line? I'm not that I probably wouldn't touch.
Well, no, it's 150 receiving or
okay. I'm touching that. I'm touching that.
That
This is where people who don't have no money, who gamble, make their money back.
Here's one for you, and I think you might like this one too, only because of the coaching situation, like we said.
Mm-hmm.
Any offensive lineman to score a receiving touchdown.
You know what? I thought about this a couple weeks ago. Is it illegal to do a center sneak? Because if ever a time to do one, Kelsey could really do that, right?
Yeah.
We're on the 1 yard line or something. Is that still legal, Coach Santa?
I remember we attempted to do a fumble rooski way back in the day. But we ran it for a 92-yard touchdown, but of course it got called back.
I would say that's one I wouldn't touch, because offensive lineman, unless you put Lane Johnson did play tight end.
And the Eagles do have formations.
Huh?
I said the Eagles and the Chiefs, they kind of run those heavy formations sometimes.
Very much so. So it's possible. So again, looking at what you sent me anyway, I'm more like what I'm not gonna touch. You know what I mean? Than what to bet.
Which ones would you not touch? Like, let's put it this way. Here's ones that I think that you wouldn't touch.
Mm-hmm.
Any player to have a 55-yard plus reception.
Why would I not have that?
Both defenses are pretty decent. Like, Eagles defense is really good, right?
I think Kansas City's defense is
but they don't give up a big play.
Yeah, but like with the Eagles, and I'm sorry, if you watch this team, right? They resemble, to me, anywho, when they're passing the ball, of the 03 Eagles with McNabb and Terrell. Okay. And Trash was on that team, of course. That's James Trash, by the way. And Todd Stinkston, by the way. So who McNabb would throw the ball to? But Terrell. And I think Sirianni, all year long, I didn't understand what he was doing. I would watch the first half of the games like, damn, we were killing them. Second half, oh, God, you're lowering me to sleep. But it worked. You know what I mean? He runs the ball the entire second half, pretty much. Like, we're watching the NFC Championship game, and I swear they ran the same play 7 straight times. Gainwell up the middle. Gainwell up the middle. After shotgun, up the middle. It's like, just sit there like this, but he's gashing them. So I think in his first half, to make up for Brown, I think Sirianni is a player's coach, and he knew Brown was acting like, people say he was acting like a diva. I was even mad that he was acting that way. Like, come on, dude, we blowing them out. There's no reason for you to be in there beating mad games over, moving on the next week. Why not go out there? They throw the ball. So it's not impossible if he's one-on-one to catch a 55-yard pass from him or Mr. Batman Smith himself. So I think that's a very good bet to take as well. And again, on the other side, let's not act like Patrick Mahomes can't throw that ball. Bad ankle, sore ankle, no ankle. That man's launching that ball. Do you not play Madden football? Jesus Christ. That is the worst thing in Madden right now. Just drop back to the ball, because he can really do that. You know what I mean? So, and truth be told, this Eagle defense at times takes memory lapses. Okay, let's not forget 3rd and 30 on Christmas Eve. Wasn't that H-double hot stick? What y'all thinking? Okay, so there's times if you get Bradbury out there not paying attention and Slay pressing too much, he gets burned because he's still old. He can get blown past. Anything is possible. I'm taking almost all these bets, Jay Chris. Almost all of them.
Here's one I don't think you're taking, but I would. Any defensive player to have 1 solo sack and 1 interception.
Hell yes, I'm taking that. This might be the MVP of this Super Bowl, might be Theo Riddick. And the biggest question is, Carolina and whoever else he played for, what in the hell was y'all thinking not having this man rush the quarterback all these years? Because he sat back as a linebacker all these years in coverage. We get him. All of a sudden, this man is a sack machine. And let's not forget he's on a 1-year contract, right? Essentially, it's a 3-year deal, but essentially a 1-year deal, right? There's no money for him after that signing bonus. So why not? Players are going to show out in the Super Bowl. I really think we're looking at a 45-42 game. I hope not, for my heart attack's sake, right? And part of me feels that we're going to actually beat them by 10 or more points, to be real. Right? I thought it would be San Francisco that way. And truth be told, I'm glad Brock Purdy didn't play. Because if you watch that game, and I think we talked about this before off air, they had a hard time running that game against San Francisco. But you know the best part about the Super Bowl is that ain't San Francisco's defense over there. That's not.
Whose
They
defense,
got
whose
one.
defense do you feel is better, San Francisco's or Kansas City?
I think by far San Francisco's
who do you think-
defense. If you none of your Eagle fans, I hate to say if you watch the games, right? Because I know you do. We have always historically, including this year and under Sirianni, you just dated back, had a hard time with teams with great linebackers. Their speed slows us down because we're not the fastest team, right? We're very precise and calculating in what we do. That's why he got to be so creative in his play calling, because we're not like that offensive line to be the best offensive line in football is pretty, susceptible to certain things at times. You go back and you look at it like, I'm looking at a stat, how many times, you don't feel like Hurts has been sacked that many times, but he has. You know what I mean? But I think, bar none, we played the best defensive team, not named the Philadelphia Eagles, 2 weeks ago, and that was San Francisco. And there's nobody else in this league that can do to them, and us playing Dallas, that's different. That's division on top of their, that's a whole different ball game. And people got to look at things like that, where division games are out the window when you play them. It just doesn't matter. But when you play the league is when you get to see the true test of what a team can do. And no team has given his team troubles. Houston did, but again, it was a Thursday night game. It was a letdown game against Houston. Jalen Hurts is back home, being from Houston. All kind of variables took into that. But this game here, there's no excuses for them, in my opinion. I really do think they run roughshod over Kansas City. I'm telling 10 to 14 points. I don't even think it's close. Sorry, Andy. We loved you for 15 years. You left us. You thought you was going to KFC. You ended up in Kansas City for some barbecue. Now we cried with you when you won championship. Thank you. All the stuff with your son. But you got all that now, Andy. Shoe fly shoe. This is Sirianni's turn, and this is the Philadelphia Eagles' turn to be what we as Eagle fans here always wanted our whole lives. And that was a team that's consistently good. I always tell people, I'd rather be an Eagle fan any day of the week. This is probably won Super Bowls than a Lions fan or a Browns fan, and some of these horrible putrid fan bases and organizations. Not even a fan base. That's nothing to go about. Fans are fans, but the organizations don't try to win. Philadelphia always try to win. We just didn't pull off the trigger. Now we're winning. Nah, they're going to win this game. And I think very easily. Sorry, Andy. I don't think it's going to be close.
I have a friend in DC. He might be watching now. I have a friend in DC that told me in 2017, and he told me again just a couple of days ago, it's y'all time. He's a Washington fan, and I'm an Eagles fan. He said it's y'all time. He said that it just feels like it's Philadelphia's time to be in that spotlight.
Same person I know that you know?
No, not the same person.
Because he said that too. Same person we know that's a Commanders fan. Also said it was our time. Yeah. That's why I was wondering if you said that.
Yeah, he said it's your time. And Miguel, let me ask you a question. Mike, if you can stick around for the rest of the show if you like. I know you just got off air. And I know you're a busy man. So, it's up to you. But if you want to stay, you can. If you don't, you don't have to, but we appreciate you joining us for this segment. And I'm gonna, and you kind of already alluded to it, but before I let you go, I gotta ask you where you're putting your money on the game, who's going to win, what's going to be the score.
I think I just answered all that. Philadelphia Eagles.
Somebody just tuned in just now.
I believe the spread's what, 3.5?
1.5.
It's 1.5. So that's Vegas trying to tell you to stop it. Okay, that's Vegas going with, and the Eagles are favored in this game.
Yes.
Okay, so that's Vegas playing with you. We talked about things like that during the Solon Sports Days, right? About why the spreads go a certain kind of way. This is Vegas having all the love in the world for Kansas City, all the respect they're giving Patrick Mahomes, what they believe they won't happen. Eagles even being favored in this game is only because they have the best record. I guarantee you that's what it is. In all naturality, they want Kansas City to win this game. And so does the NFL, for that matter, right? It's Patrick Mahomes, boys. Can he be that? They always looking for that face. And now you ask the question, I'm not going to be able to answer it because I do have to go. No, when Jalen wins this Super Bowl, he still won't be the face of the NFL. And let's just be honest with you here. He's a black man. Okay? And he's not flashy. Mahomes is flashy. Okay? And he doesn't appear to be black unless you say that he's black. They say there's 2 black quarterbacks in this game. No, there's 1 black man. Other one's just a black guy. So I'm gonna say to you, one brother know where they get the good wings and the good cheesesteaks from. Another brother gonna tell you where to go get some good pasta from. There's a difference. And I like Patrick Mahomes, okay? But just like his daddy, Okay. I get it. He's a baseball player. We all baseball players here. Typical baseball players end up with white girls. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
The thoughts and opinions of those on the show are the thoughts and opinions of those and only those people,
we,
and not
we,
necessarily the opinions of Joab Multimedia and Neutals Radio.
we need to add that at the beginning of the segment every single time he joins us. And then end it with "you may or will be offended."
34 17.
Wow.
34-17. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Knox, your
Thanks for having me,
handicapper. Y'all
guys.
better holler at him, man.
Appreciate you. Please welcome back on. And both of you got to talk to me when you're done the show. Give me a call. Peace.
Absolutely. Be easy, brother. That is Mike Knox, y'all.
I love
Mike
that
Knox,
dude.
resident handicapper. Let's see what we got here. So we got Eric Logan says, I agree. Non-biased prediction 28-17 Eagles. That's where he's going with. That's where he's going with this one. 28-17 Eagles, he says. So kind of alluded to it earlier. But we're gonna get into some of the storylines and some of the other stuff we got going on here. Not a big deal, right? Not a big deal, but the Kelsey brothers playing against each other. They're not going to be on the field at the same time. But you got Jason Kelsey, the center for the Philadelphia Eagles, playing in possibly his last game as a professional football player. And his brother, Travis Kelsey, is the tight end, probably the best tight end in the game right now, plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. First time two brothers will face each other in the Super Bowl. Big deal, or I don't think it's a big deal. I think people are making a much bigger deal out of it than what it really is. I mean, it's a big deal because it's the first time, but they're not going to be. It's not like it's the Trayvon and Stephon Diggs, and they'll be going up against each other. They're going to be on the field at different times. What are your thoughts on that storyline, Miguel?
I don't think it's much. I mean, it's kind of a heartwarming kind of thing, because they're good. They're both of them are real personable. They talk well, and they're fans of each other, and they love each other. And I think even Travis came to. I think the Giants play. He came to one of the playoff games too.
They were on a bye week, and I think he came to the game, or they.
That's right.
So they played Thursday or something like that. Yeah.
Right. So it's their brototherly love. So it's like it's a nice thing. But I think even the story of the black quarterbacks, and I hear what Knox was saying about technically Mahomes is not.
Yeah, we know what he was saying, and
Right.
but they got to try to make it some type of storyline there, right? You have two teams that really kind of respect each other. They have a lot of respect for each other, a lot of mutual acquaintances. And you got the Kelsey brothers. Of course, you got the familiarity with Andy Reid. Andy Reid drafted Brandon Graham. He drafted Fletcher Cox. I believe he drafted Lane Johnson.
Drafted Nick Foles.
Nick Foles ain't on the team no more. But he did draft Nick Foles. Nick Foles ain't on the team no more. So
got a statue.
But he drafted these guys that are still playing and will be playing against them on Sunday. So there's a lot of familiarity there. You got the whole angle with Sirianni and Reid, right? Andy Reid came into Kansas City after being released by the Eagles. Came into Kansas City, was hired by Kansas City, brought his own staff with him. So who was one of the coaches at Kansas City was Nick Sirianni. Andy Reid basically, long story short, fired Nick Sirianni. Told him your services are no longer needed. Now, the whole story goes, he came in, brought him into the office. He's very respectful and highly thought very highly of him. But at the end of the day, he fired him. He said, but I don't need you. Good luck. Goes on to Indianapolis. Does a great job in Indianapolis. Has a number one rushing offense in Indianapolis. Had Andrew Luck out there in Indianapolis. Did some great things there. Was coaching under Frank Reich. Frank Reich gave him a great recommendation to the Eagles. Now he's the Eagle. Now it's all history right now. But Sirianni versus Reid, where do you give the advantage on that one?
I lean towards Sirianni, not necessarily because again the hometown thing, Um, he and Peterson did things that Reed never really was good at, and that was the in-game changes or the in-game adjustments.
Yeah.
Um, and not to say that Andy Reid doesn't do that so much now, but I don't know. I think the last like 6 or 7 years of Andy Reid, we all knew he wasn't going to run the ball; that he was going to pass. Pass first every time. And that's where again I think not that Andy Reid is predictable, but I think he might be for this defense. Again, because I don't know Andy Reid facing a defense that had 70 total sacks and you have what 4 or 5 players with 11 plus sacks. We saw what Tampa Bay did to Mahomes. They pretty much tore him apart. Like they literally and figuratively like ate him alive.
Yeah, they Tampa Bay
'Cause-
pretty much kicked Patrick Mahomes behind.
And if I'm not mistaken, he was hurt towards the end, like limping, or he was
might,
grabbing.
he might have been. I don't remember. I kind of slightly remember something like that, but yeah, it was ugly. It's a bad day for him. Bad day for him. He was under pressure almost the whole day. That was if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. Tampa Bay had Ndamukong Suh on their team,
Right, and part of Dominican Sue, when he signed, he said that since then he had another child and he vowed to have a Super Bowl ring for each child that he had.
Did say that. He did say that. So he's on his way to getting another one. Did he play for the Rams last year for their Super Bowl too? I feel like he was on the Rams too, and then I could be.
I want to say.
Like I thought it was Sue, Donald, and Von Miller, but I could be wrong on that. Somebody go ahead and check the stats on that and let me know if I'm wrong on that. But I was just thinking about that whole Sirianni and the Reed matchup, and I'm just thinking about how, and I know what Reed did here has no bearing on this game, but we know how Reed can kind of out coach himself or outthink himself in some situations in game. He's had clock management issues. Do you think he can overcome those things that happened here? And we've seen them happen in Kansas City as well to win this game against this Eagles team. Do you think he can do that? Do we think he will do that?
I think we have to do it because I've seen that happen to us even with Sirianni, and the only difference is that Sirianni took the blame. He's like, I called a play that was too detailed, too wordy or whatever, and he would kind of scale that back, but he would always make the adjustment. So again, I don't know that that'll be. I hope that won't be a factor in this game. But I think even in the game against Tampa Bay, I think that cropped up once or twice, but it wasn't at the end of the half or the game, which typically happens under Reed.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely keep an eye on that and see how that affects things. And this Eagles team tends to make you pay for mistakes. When you make a mistake, they tend to make you pay unless it's like 4th and 30 or whatever. But Mike, we've given up some big plays on plays where we should have gotten off the field. We've
3rd
done
and 30. Yeah, and I like what Mike was saying, how the Eagles could potentially become like the San Antonio Spurs. Like people don't realize, like the San Antonio Spurs won a whole bunch of championships in the early 2000s. They weren't flashy, they weren't pretty, they were shooting from the outside, they played consistent stellar defense, but they were a dynasty, but nothing like the Lakers or the Showtime Lakers or the Bulls or anything like that. But this is really truly a team from top to bottom. I mean, both sides of the football, the Eagles I think are better than the last Super Bowl team.
there's a lot of talk about that up here too. I think they are as well better than the last Super Bowl team. I think they have better receivers. I think their running game is. See, I don't know if the running game is better, right? They have Miles Sanders, who is better than all the running backs that the Eagles had on that other team, but you had a more balanced running game where you had LeGarrette Blount, who was a bruiser. You had what was my man's name? The British guy. I can't think of his name right now. We got him from Miami. He actually played for us twice within these past 5 years.
Oh, Ajay.
Joseph Adai.
Ajay.
Ajay. You had him who was a bruiser. Then you had Corey Clement, who can come in and change. He was a change of pace guy. So they had a real balanced running attack back then. I'm forgetting another guy, but
well, he had Sproles, but he got injured.
Sproles, that's right. Sproles didn't play in the Super Bowl. This year you have Miles Sanders. You have doggone it. Why am I?
Kenneth
Gainwell, and you have Boston Scott. And that three-headed monster, we don't know how much of Boston Scott we're going to see, but we'll probably see him at least for a few plays. He might even return some kicks. Don't be surprised if you see Boston Scott returning a kick in this game. But I feel like if he is returning a kick, we might be in some trouble. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Their running attack is three guys that are similar. You know what I mean? As opposed to you got a couple of bruisers and you got a couple of guys that a couple of speed guys. This running attack is a little more is very similar across the board. I actually forgot why we was talking about the running game. To be honest with you,
we were comparing this Eagles team to the last Eagles team.
But one thing I will push back on you on, and I've said this, and it's not even like a real thing, but I don't consider that San Antonio Spurs team a dynasty.
Because the championships are too spread out?
No, not because they're too spread out, but kind of. Because like they had pretty much the same core of guys all through those championships.
Mm-hmm.
But one standard I have for a team to be a dynasty is you have to win 2 in a row. And they never won 2 in a row. So, you can win one every other year and you will be called a dynasty, but in my book, you got to win 2 in a row to become a dynasty.
So for argument's sake,
I'm in trouble.
Let's say for 10 years, the next 10 years, I win a championship every other year, but every other year I win that championship. Am I not a dynasty?
So technically, yes, you are. Right,
but no. I'm not talking about technical. I'm talking about in the rule book of Justin.
No, you're not a dynasty. You were just an extremely good team.
Wow,
not a dynasty. Like you have to. Like for me, a dynasty. Like you had to have dominated 2 years in a row.
Well, and I think
amongst other years too.
Right, and the original standard, it used to be 3 years consecutive. Back in the 70s, but you had enough teams that, and this was before free agency in football, and this was before a lot of the big contracts. You were able to keep a team together for quite some time. The Steelers, for instance, and the Cowboys in the 70s and all that.
For me, the who was it? I had this conversation about who was it? The Warriors. The Warriors won 1. They won 2, and then they lost 1, I believe. I think it happened something like that. Let me see. They beat LeBron, then they lost LeBron, then they came back with KD and beat LeBron again, and then they lost the next year to the Toronto Raptors. That team, as good as they were, not a dynasty. They didn't become a dynasty to me until they won 2 in a row. And did they win 2 in a row? Yeah, they started. I don't even. We're not talking. It's a preview show of the Super Bowl. We're not talking about the doggone Warriors. Don't get me thinking about them. I didn't write any notes about the Warriors, so I'm not. Are you stumping me today? Just wanted to know.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to put it up now. I'm just wondering because I want to get into our segment.
Yes.
So we're gonna get into our new segment. If you're just joining us and you don't know what our new segment is called, this is what our new segment is called. Is you is or is you ain't. It's called Is You Is or Is You Ain't. And the question was put out there in the beginning of the show. So if you wanted to join us for this segment of the show, this portion of the show, Hit us up 669-275-0323. That's 669-275-0323. And I'll let Miguel answer and then I'll answer. Is you is or is you ain't? If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, does Jalen Hurts become the new face of the NFL?
No.
Is you ain't.
So you saying no? How come?
Jalen Hurts to me, and I hate to use the basketball analogy, but he could potentially become like the Tim Duncan of quarterbacks. He's more concerned about efficiency, about doing the right things. He doesn't pop off. He's not terribly flashy. Um, I mean, he only had 5 picks this year, and he's very careful with the football. And if he sees a sack, he's not going to try to do a Carson Wentz and try to do somersaults. He just sits there, slides and surrenders. He doesn't have. I don't want to say he doesn't take risks because he does, but again, it's not. They're calculated risks. So I think he's too safe, if you will, to be marketable.
Okay. So Miguel says
Is you ain't.
Jalen Hurts does not become the new face of the NFL if the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
I think he should, but
Now, as the question comes to me now,
Is you is or is you ain't.
I say he does.
Is you is.
I say Jalen Hurts does become the new face of the NFL. However, with a caveat, I don't think Patrick Mahomes goes anywhere. I think he's right there. So it's almost like there'll be co-faces of the NFL. Patrick Mahomes has had more success than Jalen Hurts, right? This question is coming we're basing it on Jalen Hurts having continued success. And here's why he becomes the new face of the NFL for a couple of reasons. You just kind of almost have to put him up there. You almost kind of have to be very, very clean cut person in the NFL, where the NFL has an image issue on many levels. So I think the NFL will want to boost him up there. I think the NFL will want to have him on Monday nights. They will want to have him on Sunday nights. They will want to feature Jalen Hurts in NFL commercials. I think that's one thing that I think holds him back from being that would be the fact that he plays for the Eagles and nobody likes us. But we don't care. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, we don't care that you don't like us. Because that's the only thing that might hold him back. Patrick Mahomes will still get the State Farm commercials, but don't be surprised if you start seeing Jalen Hurts in a couple of those commercials. Okay, because we did see Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers in those commercials. So don't forget, it can happen. Jalen Hurts, the NFL has an issue with people with African Americans, right? Stemming from the whole Kaepernick thing, and even before that, the NFL would probably be a good idea for the NFL to boost Jalen Hurts as one of the faces of the league if he continues to have the success that he has if he wins the Super Bowl this year. I think the NFL has no choice but to do so. Okay, they have to put a face on their league that people can be attracted to. That people can people of all races can take their kid to a game and say, you need to approach the game like he approaches the game. You need to, he stays out of trouble. He doesn't have a whole bunch of controversies around him. He works hard. He hits the weight room. He's a good teammate. He's a good captain. I think Jalen Hurts Jalen Hurts becomes the face of the league if the Eagles win the Super Bowl and then he continues to have his success.
Is you is.
So that is our newest segment.
Is you is or is you ain't.
Known as Is You Is or Is You Ain't. I'm glad that you could be a part of that segment, and where the phone lines will be up for a little bit longer as you can get your opinions in on Is You Is or Is You Ain't. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, does Jalen Hurts become the new face of the league? Now, Miguel, we're going to get to the grand question that everybody, that everybody wants to know. I already know who you're picking, but I'm going to ask you who you picking.
Well, based on the script that has already been circulated around the internet, um, Eagles win 37-34. Um, I there's the potential for this game to kind of get out of hand,
Absolutely.
or it could be a shootout. I don't know if we'll win in a shootout, but again, I'm kind of old school in the fact that I just think defense wins championships. And for Andy Reid again to face a defense where 4 to 5 players have 11 sacks and 3 or 4 others have like 8 or 9 sacks, and we have two of the best corners in the league.
Sorry, we had a call on the line, but they hung up.
Oh, I thought it was like the Grammys I had. Like, and I want to thank all of my Jewish friends.
I'm playing you off, huh?
Right. Um, but I think I hate predictions because I try not to think with my heart and my head, and it's like kind of hard to separate myself. But my vision would be less stress free than the last Super Bowl. I got Eagles. I got Eagles 42-30.
Mm. Mm. Not bad. Not
And
bad.
the MVP is going to be Hassan Reddick.
Mm. Okay. Okay. I could see Reddick kind of playing the spy role a little bit in this one too. Yeah, like containing him on that side. I could see that happening and keeping him contained, keeping him from going to it, keeping Mahomes from going to his right and forcing him to go left and make a play, which he can do. Um, I also see this as a game where, like, I saw something earlier that these teams have the same record, 14-3, and I saw something where I don't know how true it is, but it showed that they scored the same amount of points this year as well.
I saw that too. Yeah,
42 points apiece or something like that,
mm-hmm.
or 475 or something. With that being said, I think this game could be a shootout. And a lot of times when you expect the game to be a shootout, it ends up being a low scoring defensive battle.
Like 10-3.
Yeah, something crazy like that. In this situation, I don't think it's going to be a boring game. I think there's going to be a lot of action, but I do think the Eagles make a way, and this is bias, I know. I do think the Eagles find a way to pull away in this game. Some type of halftime adjustments being made that maybe Andy Reid doesn't make an adjustment for in game. And I wasn't going to go for, what you say, 40, what did you say, 40, what you
42-30.
42-30. So I was thinking more like 35-21, 37-21. But I was also thinking the Eagles could get in the 40s. They got in the 40s last time.
Pick one.
Last time has nothing to do with this time, right? So I'm going Eagles 38, Chiefs 24. Eagles 38, Chiefs 24. That's where I'm going with it, and I see you writing it down. So you're gonna hold me to it. It's okay. Don't hold me to it. We got a couple comments here. Ryan says he says MVP will be Jason Kelsey.
If there's an offensive lineman that deserves an MVP,
it would definitely be him.
It would not be him.
Really?
Lane Johnson.
Lane Johnson, yeah. Lane.
He has no what is that called?
Adductor.
He has no abductor, and he's you can't play. You and I can't play without our abductors.
That's not. I don't even know what that is. I do know what the adductor machine is. There's the adductor and the abductor. I don't know. I tend to stay away from that one a little bit. Ryan also says he has the Eagles winning 34-28. So shout out to Ryan, giving us his opinion, letting us know what he's thinking about it. Yeah, so all of us, we feel like, and also Mike Knox had the Eagles winning this game big.
Yeah, he
Winning
thinks
this
it's going to
game
be.
big. A lot of people are talking about the leg of Patrick Mahomes. I really don't think it's going to be a factor. I think he'll be fine. I know
Yeah.
those things take time. I think he'll be fine.
Listen,
I don't see that really being a factor. I see Hurt's shoulder being more of a factor than Mahomes' leg.
which really wasn't a factor in both playoff games. But
See, I don't know. I'm not sure about that because he had some overthrows in the last game that I thought were kind of.
well, true,
Yeah.
but yeah, he had a couple of them. But I mean, then you saw it should have been an incomplete pass, but that unbelievable pass and catch by Devontae
Yeah.
in the corner.
That's at the
But if we wind up controlling the clock, if it winds up being a clock game, a possession game, that's us. Because again, with our three-headed monster, we'll be able to kill the clock against the game and keep the ball away from
I
the
believe.
Chiefs. Because I think the biggest offensive, I think if there's anybody that's going to get 150 yards receiving or rushing, it's going to be Kelsey. He's the only real person. I'm thankful that what's his
Cook.
name? Huh?
I said Kelsey can cook.
Yes, he can.
He gives
But
it.
I have a feeling the way they're going to play the defense, they're going to let him get his catches, let him get his yards, because after a while that they'll figure that out eventually. But
Yeah. All right. Well, it's come to that time of the show, and we're going to shut the phone lines down now. Let me shutting the phone lines down. Yes, the phone lines are now closed. We are going to get in the portion of the show where Miguel decides he's going to stump me. And last week he did. I mean, I eventually got it, but it took me like 22 minutes. All right, so this is football.
this is football.
I had a feeling you were going to go with football today. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champ. And let me see. Number 27 with is that Washington?
You're always off on that.
Is that Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay.
He was Tampa Bay, Denver.
New England.
Oh, that's New England. That looks orange to me. I'm sorry. It looks blue and orange. All right, so you got Tampa Bay, New England, Pittsburgh. Is that the Jets or is that Philly?
Philly.
And Detroit. You're gonna have to give me an era. What era is? I mean, it's a Super Bowl era, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay. Who was it? Tampa Bay, New England. It's not Tom Brady. Tampa Bay, New England. LeGarrette Blount. Yes, indeedy. Feed the needy.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Yo, do you remember? I hate to bring this up.
Uh-oh.
You know what? I'm not even gonna bring it up on the show. I'm gonna bring it up after the show. It's just something LeGarrette did during his career. Do you remember? You think you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember?
I think.
It was when he was in college. Ryan said he knew this one, and Mike Knox said, "Go Birds, go Birds, go Birds." All right, look, that is the end of the preview show. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you missed any part of the show, especially when Mike Knox was telling you, where the bets would be, go back to YouTube and check us out. It will be there. And if you make any money, let us know. You can slide some money our way. New Twist Radio does have a cash app. It's the cash sign New Twist Radio. Just all right, but look, we appreciate y'all hanging with us for the Super Bowl preview show. I hope I haven't said that word too much and get us booted off the air, but you guys are still watching, so we'll see what happens in the coming days when it comes time to put up the replay. But with all that being said, hey, share this with your folks. Let the people know the Check Swing Podcast is here, and you can check us out, our audio out later on. And you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You'll know when. Follow Miguel, follow me. You'll know when all the information is put up there and when you can just check out the audio. Here we go. So Ryan puts up a fact right here, and he says, "Fact of the day: Pete Rose could go 750 for 750 right now and still have a lower batting average than Tony Gwynn."
And Tony Gwynn would have still raped less
Did we
women.
talk about that once? I feel like we talked about that once.
Well, we had a couple different stats, and Tony Gwynn will still have raped less women.
Oh yeah, that came out of left field. Okay, but I
Pete
guess
Rose started out as a left fielder. Sorry.
Okay. We're going to get up out of here. We appreciate y'all. We're going to talk to y'all next week after we are hopefully celebrating a Philadelphia Eagles second Super Bowl. I'm not going to the parade, though. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't do parades. It's not my thing. All right?
I did the last one, but made several mistakes that day.
I'm not. I don't do parades.
Although when I came home on the trolley, I was groped from the front and the back.
It was your wife.
She wasn't. Well, I mean, again, it was a trolley that was packed.
I still hope it was your wife. That's all I'm saying. I just hope it was your wife. All right, we out of here, folks. We'll talk to y'all next week or right here on the Check Swing Podcast.
Go Eagles!
Go Birds.